Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be evaluating some of my English 8 curriculum resources. We're going to be looking at a couple different Google Slides presentations as well as one worksheet made on Canva. To start with one of the Google Slides presentations from our class Text to Be a Slave. I'm just going to go over some of the positives, which will be highlighted in yellow here. From both of our readings this week, and then some of the, I think, points that could be improved upon in the pinkish red highlights. So starting with this first slideshow, this was from a chapter of our book, To Be a Slave. The do now for students was to provide their own definitions for 3 terms or motifs from our unit. And they were sticky note definitions where students would put their own definitions on the wall of the classroom, and then ultimately we would kind of go over all those definitions and come up with our own class definitions based on similarities between the individual definitions. Here are the learning targets for the day. And then ultimately the main assignment or project for students during this lesson is to find textual evidence from the chapter that relate or represent these motifs within the book, and then providing an example for students. I used one of my favorite TV shows, Avatar, to basically show how they can choose a quote and then explain how that quote represents one of those themes, whether it's relationships, loss of innocence, or will to live. And then finally, these last 3 slides are where the students input their own findings from the book. This would be a partners or small group activity. So just looking at some of the things that I think this presentation and lesson would do well in terms of accessibility and checking off the UDL principles. I think the design is pretty high contrast. I think the navigation is pretty strong. I try to make things color coded, things highlighted and bold. In terms of offering choice and different mediums to express learning. The sticky note definition, do now, would be a way to get students up and moving in the classroom. So they're not just, talking or typing, they're actually writing and, sticking the note to the wall. I also try to, in terms of just like color and navigation, I like to make the backgrounds of certain slides where students actually have to do something yellow, so they know when they see a yellow slide like this that they actually are going to have to type something into their own version of this slides presentation. And then again, sort of related to the student choice, I try to personalize and contextualize the lesson with something that may be interesting to students. So my way of doing this was introducing Avatar, a show that I like and I know many of my students like. So here's the point about personalizing and contextualizing learning, just hopefully to foster a little bit more engagement within the lesson itself. Obviously, because this would be a group activity and a partner activity, students would be collaborating. I always try to provide checklists as well for things. I'm a person that likes to check things off, so a lot of times my directions for lessons will be in checklists. But yeah, this is one slide, and then the other, this one accompanies this worksheet here, but this lesson is from the next chapter in the book. And here students are watching a video. So one thing I do typically do with videos is turn on the captions so students can read as they watch and listen. A lot of times I've noticed, though, that the auto-generated captions on YouTube are not accurate, and that does bother some of my students sometimes. But the video is just another way to sort of, provide multiple ways, audio, video, ways of learning for students, so they're not just reading. And this is also sort of a way to chunk the assignment. First, they have to learn about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which we did talk about a little bit before the lesson. And then they're using, this do now video as a way to relate the concepts in Maslow's hierarchy to the book. After the video, students would have a quick class discussion, first in partners or small groups, and then a full class discussion. These are pretty related to the video and the concepts, but I do think this third one is more, a little bit more reflective. And here they have the chance to sort of self-reflect and self-monitor and think about the ideas presented by Maslow's hierarchy in a bigger context, maybe in relation to their own lives and experiences. So like I said, students would be doing a worksheet within this lesson as well. The lesson looks like this. And this was created on Canva. So I have no idea how like a text to speech feature would work with a worksheet like this, because a lot of it is pictures. Like this is a picture, and I don't know if the iPads they use could pick up on pictures as text, but I try to incorporate things like QR codes on paper assignments so that students who are maybe not there, or if they want to, watch the video on their own time, once, twice, or 3 times with their headphones, they can do that as well. But this would be their do now assignment, is to watch the video and take notes on the pyramid here. Within this assignment as well, I tried to give some more student choice and flexibility for showing learning. So students were given the opportunity to write and or draw scenes from the book that show where enslaved people are being denied their basic physiological needs, their safety and security, where their relationships are being taken away or torn apart, and then how does that affect their self-esteem and identity, and ultimately their ability to reach fulfillment. So, So yeah, I was hoping with this assignment to give students a little bit of freedom, and I did see some cool visual illustrations as opposed to just finding quotes and explaining. It was nice to see students be able to draw a little bit. And then ultimately students would also have to complete a exit ticket in Schoology, where they're taking these quotes that they found from the book and just sort of putting that into a paragraph, since it is English language arts class, putting everything into actual writing within Schoology as an exit ticket to wrap it all together. So I think I highlighted, where was it? Yeah, the blinking. I don't know if this could be considered distracting or dangerous to people who are sensitive to blinking or, rapidly flashing content. But I like to include things like this just to sort of, engage and hopefully inspire some humor in the students. But yeah, overall, I think the yellow highlighted things are successes in these assignments and lessons, and then the pink red could be a little bit better. So I think providing that alt text on images and videos. I did not put a link destination in, I believe it was this link here. So I suppose that could be helpful for screen reader users. And then going back to the rice chapter, I didn't really use example. I did use the avatar example, but I didn't use a non-example, which I think is pretty helpful, especially for my middle school age students. I could have used more outlines or graphic organizers, although I do think that Maslow's hierarchy is in itself sort of its own graphic organizer. Multiple entry points and flexible pass-through content, and then interactive simulations. I suppose the lessons could be a little bit more interactive in some regards. But everything else I think does a decent job of, changing things up for students and trying to be accessible for students who like to do things in different ways. So I hope you enjoyed, and I thank you for your time.